Have you ever wanted to spend over 20 hours of your life lugging a purple hat and a not so hot and ready pizza through a remaster of Half-Life 1? Does another 20 hours of grinding to get the other 47 achievements sound like fun? If so, you might be insane like me. But if you're just looking for a video to watch while you eat, then sit back and watch my suffering instead. Welcome to Black Mesa 100%. Yeah, all right. Oh, would you look at the time? I'm late for work.
Morning, Mr. Freeman. Looks like you're running late.
Maybe I wouldn't be so late if this tram didn't take 10 minutes. Anyway, once we arrive at the station, we head to the main desk to make sure everyone's nice and awake.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. Okay, you got my attention.
Now, they might have done it for Matey Boy here, but not for the whole facility. So to remedy the situation, we activate the alarm to get everyone's blood pressures up, and for the first of 50 achievements in this game, Proverbial Tinkerer. Heading to the break room, I see a man making himself a microwave all-in-one roast dinner. Absolutely sickened by the sight, I crank up the microwave and blast the abomination for the Convection Refinement achievement. Feeling rather unwell after that whole ordeal, I make my way to the bathroom to have a little bit of a dry heave. Once there, I overhear a man who's been caught up shit creek with no paddle, and he needs me to pass him some toilet paper. Sliding a roll under the stool, we're met with gratitude and the Brownie in Motion achievement. We stop dicking around and head down to get the HEV suit. This means we can finally sprint, as Gordon skipped one too many leg days and he can't run without it. Getting to the area where we're ready to do our experiment, we get a pep talk from some guy and oh my god, it's the Stanley Parable Man.
Yes, but with good reason.
Gordon Freeman went through the door in front of him. Once inside, with everyone watching and counting on me, I had a bit of a
I don't really feel like it
moment, so I went on my phone instead. After a while of watching reels of workplace accidents, I get into one myself and get the Resonance Procrastinator achievement. After I reloaded the save, I got ready to really do it this time, so I jumped in and died, because I left my PhD at home and I haven't learned science since school. Oh, and to get the less than desirable achievement. Finally doing the experiment, we push the thing into the other thing, and it all goes to shit because I'm actually an unemployed 26-year-old and not a scientist. This is what I get for lying on my CV. I get zapped away and given a little glimpse into the Zen world that we'll be oh so sick of later, and after waking up to find the facility overrun by aliens from Zen, we get the heck out of there and try to find a way out. As soon as I encounter my first head crab, I let him eat me, because you've got to try everything at least once. Well, that, and mainly to get the prophylactic suggested achievement. I don't know if I pronounced that right, and I don't really care. Along the way, I find Dumb and Dumber attempting to escape through a vent. Very sus. A little later on, I find a scientist who needs to get to a security room. I help to escort him there safely, and in return, I get to take the grenades that are inside. Once I get my grenades, I blow myself up immediately to get the well done achievement. Never let them know your next move. Just as a quick note, this is where I start working towards the achievement to lure 10 head crabs into barnacles for the Unified Coupling Theorem achievement. Speaking of barnacles, with my new grenades and knowledge on how not to blow myself up, I go back to the group of barnacles I found earlier, and I kill 5 of them with 1 grenade to get the Megahertz achievement. From here, we make our way to the next area, fighting enemies along the way, and a head crab helps this scientist get the Brownie in Motion achievement as well.
I do believe I soiled myself.
As a punishment for making that poor old professor shit his britches, we set a couple head crabs alight with a flare for the Inflammatory Actions achievement. All this heat has me very parched, so I head over to the nearest vending machine to empty it of all of its cuke to get the Caffeine Extraction achievement. After drinking 20 cans of the stuff, I head around the corner to find a toilet, but instead find a guard, who says his buddy needs help. Seeing his buddy come around the corner with a head crab latched onto his face, we put him out of his misery, and he unlocks the gate letting me get the shotgun. From now, I can start skeet shooting 10 head crabs out of the air for the Calculated Trajectory achievement. This guard is also the first of 6 NPCs that we'll need to rescue and keep alive until the end of the level, for the Our Brains and Your Brawn achievement. This one can be a nightmare, but as long as you keep the NPCs far back, clear up ahead alone, and then move forward with them, you should be okay. First time around, the first guard refused to walk through this doorway. He just absolutely was not having it, so I had to reload my save and try again. The plus side of this is that there were loads of head crabs in this area, which allowed me to kill a 10th airborne head crab to get the Calculated Trajectory achievement. On the second try, the guard got through the door just fine, so after clearing up ahead, we pushed on, and after a while, we found a guard taking out a few head crabs, and this is the second NPC that we'll need to look after, team up with. After clearing out a large area full of Vortigons, we break through a barricaded door to find 2 scientists. However, only one decides to come with me, as the other doesn't believe in my insane gaming ability. Your loss. Meeting back up with the gang, I take them ahead to the next safe area, where we find another scientist in some kind of dingy room under the stairs. He decides to stay put, so I leave my 3 friends here to wait with Harry Potter while I head back to quickly grab another achievement for discovering a secret shortcut. I won't be going this way this time around since I need the NPCs, and I don't think that crouch jumping was taught in environmental chemistry. We get permeable infrastructure, and we can move on. Once dealing with all the enemies in the next area, I went back to grab the NPCs and met up with our fourth. This security guard tells us the obvious, so we tell him to put a sock in it and wait with the others. Moving on ahead, I take out some headcrabs and their zombified brethren, have a little giggle at a guy who's mimicking how I'm sitting while playing this game, then head onto the freezer to gain access to the next area. We do find another NPC in here, but she seems more interested in chilling out than following me. After fighting through enemies, crawling through vents, fighting through more vents, crawling through more enemies, and turning back, we pop out the other side to find a guard and a scientist, our final 2 NPCs to take with us. Now that we're here, we can open up this door back to the last area before the freezers to go and collect the others. Look at this. Look at our little team we have here. Not just any team.
The science team!
I'm so proud of how much they've accomplished. It takes so much courage to stand in a room while I do all the work. To cap off this chapter and get our achievement, we kill a few zombies and vortigaunts until it's safe for the others to join, and after making the very fair decision that they don't want to make a leap of faith to a sketchy ladder across a bottomless pit, I get my achievement, say my farewells, and leap across like some kind of monkey man hybrid. This is where we start the chapter We've Got Hostiles. To give you the rundown, basically the military have arrived to help us out and kill all the aliens for us. Thankfully, it'll be much easier now that they're here and I'm not fighting by myself. Ignore them.
Thank God you're here.
Yeah, this game would be pretty short if that were the case, huh? In this section, we can get kinetic repulsion for killing an enemy with their own grenade. About 30 minutes into the level, I get my opportunity, and after almost throwing a bit of wood at his head instead, I lob it back at him, and as he pops, so does my achievement. After some more fighting, dodging mines and turrets, we finally make it topside. Man, it feels so good to see the sun, but we'll have to make the most of it because we're heading straight down into this bunker to head back underground. We're on our way to the rail network, as this lets us access other parts of Black Mesa. Oh my god, he said the thing! Once we've given ourselves even more irreparable knee damage from crab walking through vents, we make it to the underground rail system. We hop onto our dinky little cart and get moving, creating some roadkill along the way. With even more enemies spawning alongside me, it feels like I'm on the dark, evil version of It's a Small World. With my vision obscured by the guts of some alien pug-looking thing, I fail to see the dead end ahead, and after failing to get off in time, I go flying into the gloop. I don't want to know what this stuff is. All I know now is that it's on my shoe. I get myself out of the mysterious substance and climb up to hop into a pipe to get to the next area like I'm some kind of copyrighted plumber. Through here, we find a huge open room with more gloop and these annoying ass bull squid enemies. A couple double pumps and a few bullets to the face puts them down, and we platform across the elevator in the middle to keep heading upwards. We make it to the top, fight through some hound eyes over to this big rocket firing testing blast pit area. What chapter is this? Nailed it. Inside here, we can see this giant tentacle demon creature is rather upset about being suddenly plucked out of bed right in the middle of his favorite show, and he wants out. Badly. To help with this, I need to activate the fuel pumps in the generator to blast him back into his own dimension. I'll be completely honest here, I still don't know what it actually wants me to do to avoid being hit. I tried using satchel charges, I don't know if it helped, but we managed to get past, breaking through to the lower level. I head towards the oxygen and fuel supplies first, and along the way, I find another opportunity to work towards the Unified Coupling Theorem achievement. Once we get down, we find a huge fan which needs to be quickly switched on, and then we need to get out before it slices us up like a piece of deli ham. Who designed this thing? And I'm not mad just because I died. Anyway, once spinning, the fan gives us enough lift to fly up into yet another vent. I don't think you understand how hard it is for me to not make outdated Among Us jokes constantly throughout this video. This will be the last of the headcrab barnacle vor I show until I get the achievement, partly because I didn't take note of every single time I did it, but mainly because I think we've all seen enough. After getting back to the blast pit, we head the other way to go and switch on the power. Richtofen would be so proud. On our way, we find an elevator that takes us lower down. After dealing with some barnacle related problems, we're ready to push on. Unfortunately, the elevator decides that it doesn't want to be an elevator anymore and sends me falling down into yet more toxic sludge. I didn't realize I was supposed to avoid this, so I reload the save and grab the nearby ladder, avoiding the lift entirely, as if I had a premonition like some kind of Final Destination character. This time, I can now calmly climb down the ladder while I watch a ton of metal come crashing down, almost crushing poor Mr. Burns.
The Smithers went down there.
Now at the generator, I push a couple buttons to lower a thingy down onto a whatchamacallit, and doing this gives me anti-gravity abilities. Oh wait, never mind. It's just a barnacle. We're all done here, so we head back to the blast pit to send Tentacle Tom back to bed once and for all. Now that we're back, we panic rush past the big guy to get back up to the main control room to fire the rocket. All we have to do now is push a button, stand back, and watch the result of our hard work. The creature lets out one last roar, which sounds a bit like that fucked up plankton noise. And finally, we're able to head down the shaft that its fat ass had been blocking this whole time. At the bottom of this pit, we find a revolver, which is a huge upgrade from the standard pistol. As well as this welcome upgrade, we need to use this gun to get 20 headshots on enemies for the grey matter propulsion achievement. For now, we just have a bunch of platforming sections up ahead as we make our way through what feels like the Slurm factory from that one Futurama episode. Just past the Slurm, we find another Valve, which moves this section of pipe across. Once we move it, we can jump inside, across, and onto the next area. Here, we walk in on a huge fight between the military and a massive alien called a Gargantua, but I'm going to call him Jeff. While Jeff has the military distracted, I take this as an opportunity to get a few cheeky headshots in for the achievement. Once the military had given it their best effort and ultimately failed, I was a little unsure on what to do at first, mainly because I didn't feel like leaving my safe area and getting annihilated like them. I made a break for this area, which has a big red button, which tells me I'm definitely in the right place. Climbing up onto this bit on the right, we make our way through another vent into a section with some more enemies to fight, and once they've been taken care of, we find a security office with a guard, leading out, and with one message.
I was just wondering if you wanted to hang out with me and smoke.
No, but for real, he tells us that we need to turn on the power to the train, and it can take us to the surface, simultaneously helping us take care of Jeff as a convenient bonus. With this information on board, we depart the guard station and get on track to turn the power on. Through this area, we have more chances to work towards another achievement called Digital Wizardry, for killing 10 enemies with reprogrammed sentry turrets. I have been, and will be working away quietly in the background getting this one as and when I can, since it's very awkward to find turrets that I can actually pick up and use before they use all their ammo on me. This section is absolutely full of enemies, but I'm not complaining since I'm still working away on my 20 headshots, and this gives me all the opportunities I need. I also now have access to trip mines, and in turn need to get 10 kills with them to get the one step ahead achievement. So we move through this area, running full speed into gunfire to place trip mines, as these guys are too stupid to see them, and I'm too stupid to actually use strategy to get this achievement. Once we clear out this first area of enemies, we head down to the power generator to see what's up. Now, I'm no mechanic, but after deciding that breaking this big, obviously stuck wooden box may help, I do it, and what do you know? It worked. Now that we have the power back on, we can continue onwards and make our way back to the station with the guard. After a while of aiming for the head, waving around turrets, and getting about 800 new piercings from all the bullets I'm being pelted with, we get our 20th headshot and get grey matter repulsion. Along the way, we find a headcrab zombie that is the perfect representation of my mental health after not only having to carry a fucking pizza to the end of the game, but a purple top hat as well. We're saving those bad boys right until the end though. We make it all the way back to the guard, who activates the train for us and chooses to stay behind, as he needs to try and get some of his blood back inside him before it's too late. Good luck! I hop back down to the tracks to make a break for the power controls, and with Jeff right behind me, I run as fast as I can, because something tells me he's trying to do more than just sell me something. I flip all the breaker switches and head up the ladder for the main event. Upon pushing the big red button, we turn Jeff from a big mean alien into more of a chunky soup. Okay, in hindsight, I shouldn't have named him. I think I got too attached. Brushing off the trauma, we get onto the train car and set off full speed ahead. Not long up the track, we get stopped by the security guard, who tells us he has a message. He says we need to follow the tracks to
Some sort of satellite delivery rocket or something.
as there's another team at the other end of the complex that need it in orbit, and me if they have any chance at undoing this mess. With this new mission in mind, I press on. A while down the line, I manage to pick up a turret and kill my final enemy for the Digital Wizardry achievement. Oh, that's lovely. They must speak German. I did get a good chuckle out of this poster as well. Once we get to the end of this section after fighting through enemies and doing the odd puzzle here and there, we take the elevator up to the top where the rocket awaits. After working our way down a series of ladders and getting the rocket ready for launch, fighting military and zombies alike, we finish up and take another elevator back up to the launch button to fire the rocket.
Launch control train activated. Clear area immediately.
So we do exactly what the scary voice says and we get the fuck out of there. I don't want to be a medium rare Freeman. Unfortunately, our train time finally comes to an abrupt end since some arsehole decided to shoot an RPG at me. Bit excessive, but I get it. I used to do the same in Black Ops 1.
Shut up, you dickhead. Now fuck off. Don't send me another mission.
Speaking of explosives, after dealing with the last batch of goons, I flawlessly execute what I like to call the Harino trademark, sneak up with a mine, get spotted and panic technique. Watch closely. Flawless. Perfection. Let's run that back and give you one more taste of peak gaming skill. I don't know about you, but that gave me chills. Anyway, cringe aside, after the last trip mine blows up, I get the one step ahead achievement. Annoyingly, I captured this moment like a cameraman recording a public fight. This finally leaves me with only one last ongoing achievement I need to keep in the back of my mind, which is that headcrab barnacle bullshit one. Shortly after this, we drop down into yet another huge fight. Nothing worth talking about here past the fact that you get to use a 50 cal, which I thought would be cool if I didn't basically kill every enemy before getting to it. So I was led to believe that the rocket was already fired, you know, from the whole but apparently not, so now we actually get to fire the rocket. Neat. Now I genuinely didn't find any satchel charges at all since I wasted all of mine way back in the blast pit fighting Gangly Joe or whatever his name was. So now that I finally have a restock, I head to my nearest barnacle to get the remote detonation achievement. After this, we hop onto another train because who needs legs anyway? And in the process, things literally go off the rails as we commit vehicular manslaughter for the second time. I'm so sorry, Martha. We burst through a wall into a pool of water, and once in this area, we're required to find some red barrels to put under this bridge so that it can float up and let us across. After doing this, and fighting a few enemies, we head on through until we find another scientist, who is unfortunately eaten by that fish from Ratchet & Clank that haunted my nightmares as a child, after only getting about half a second of screen time too. Poor fella. Once up a ladder into this observation room, there's a scientist who tells us there's a dive cage with a crossbow inside, and that I'm welcome to try and slay the beast. I take the challenge and jump on in without a second thought. Sadly, the weight of all my unresolved Jeff trauma was too much for the chain to bear, and we're sent plunging into the water. Silver lining being that I can now see the ugly bastard, so I line up my shot and kill it. Reporting back to the scientist upstairs, he's very happy about the whole situation. He even hit me with the signature. I didn't realize that the way forward was a door underwater that I had to open, so after realigning my 2 brain cells, I jumped back into the water and swam through. A little later on, I find another guard who has an important message for me. However, just before he can give it to me, he gets Luigi'd right in front of my eyes. Mad about the blood I got on my shirt, I chase after the assassin and get into a fight with a bunch of them. I quickly get a couple kills with the Magnum to get the Dead Reckoning achievement, and after clearing out the last of the assassins, we find the way forward and we push on. With all these weapons and gear, I feel unstoppable.
Major medical attention.
Nice hit. That's the guy? Yeah. We got him. Alright, come on, give me a hand here. Where are we taking this Freeman guy? Topside. The questioning. What the hell for? We got him. Why not just kill him now? And if they find the body? Hey. What body? Shit.
Oh, what happened? Am I in a trash Okay, I gotta go. Well, I am Gordon Freeman after all, so I simply climb up the other trash to escape. I launch a head crab, and I pull the lever to the main control room to open the chute. Once down the chute, we travel a little longer until we follow a pipe back into the facility. This section is mostly all platforming, with a bit of button pushing on the side. So not much to talk about here, past almost sharting my pants when I almost got shredded like I was on one of those satisfying YouTube channels. A bit later, once we're past this area, we find ourselves in some kind of biology testing lab. Here, we need to start the ethically questionable achievement. For this, we need to find and activate all 4 experiments in the area. We do have a few more achievements to pick up here as well, but they're all easy to grab along the way. First experiment we carry out is to push this red button and see what this gas does to our alien buddy here. So that killed him. How interesting. The next is to launch these little bug creatures called snarks at a target. The outcome of this experiment seems a little obvious to me, but what do I know? I'm no scientist. Moving on. As we get to the next room for the penultimate experiment, we spot our creepy stalker who's been spying on me throughout the game. I will find you, and I will give you a top hat. Anyway, with that pushed aside for now, we open the door to release the bull squid and hit the science button. With a huge flash of light, it incinerates every living thing in the room. Yeah, alright, I'm sensing a theme here. Onto our final chamber, we have a few things here to talk about. Firstly, we pick up this canister of cyanogen, which is a toxic gas we of course use to kill everything in this chamber as well. We won't get the ethically questionable achievement until the final experiment, but that's just getting to the next area, so we'll pick it up soon. This also will not be the last we see of these cyanogen canisters. Trust me when I say we have a journey ahead of us. In this room, we also get our hands on our very own snarks. I don't think I should be allowed to own these as pets after I just launched an entire family of them out of a cannon, but look how cute he is. With these in hand, I drop down a quick save and let them murder me, as it's only fair. Silver lining is this also gets me the universal gravitation achievement for getting killed by my own snarks. Moving on to the next area where we need to activate 4 lasers to fire a final main laser to escape, I use this as my opportunity to get the futile resistance achievement, killing 10 enemies with snarks. This achievement is finicky as hell because to be honest, snarks are shit. So I won't lie, I got an enemy to low health, saved, and then killed him 10 times using that save. This game took me almost 40 hours to 100%, so I'll take any time save I can get. While I'm walking around and pushing buttons, I almost get sniped through a wall by a laser, and after hearing some muffled conversation about overcharging something, a huge explosion gives me access to the room, and mysteriously, the people inside are nowhere to be seen. In here, we find a weapon called the Tau Cannon. There's a couple achievements tied to this gun, one now and one later. The one now requires us to overcharge the gun to get quantum capacitance. So we quickly do that and get our achievement. Finally, we can fire the final laser, once into the blast shield to get the ethically questionable achievement. Then, after unplugging the shield, we hit it once more to punch a hole in the wall to the next area. I don't know why the shield matters for this achievement, but in a game this long, if the guide says to do it, I do it. Speaking of, I just want to give a huge shout out quickly to Pandalax Achievement Hunting, because his guide was a godsend for this playthrough, and I'll probably be needing those Half-Life 2 guides in the future as well. Thank you, my friend. Now we can hop through the freshly made hole to find a group of scientists that need me to switch off this nightmarish auto-dock contraption. So after waiting for the right moment, I jump across and duck to avoid a free haircut, and I hit the power button. Now that the machine is off, the scientists follow me all the way back to the lobby that we started in at the beginning of the chapter. As soon as we walk through the door, we're met with military bursting through from every possible angle. After a huge firefight with bullets flying everywhere, we take out the last guys up on the roof, and the scientists catch up after understandably waiting outside. As we head to the door, only one decides to come with me, and that probably wasn't the best decision, as he shot about 3 seconds later, and we now have a bunch more enemies to deal with. Once dealing with these guys, it's more of the same, moving forward, shooting at people, moving forward, getting shot at by people, until we make it to a huge area with a dam, and a helicopter that isn't too fond of the fact that we're still breathing. We fall down into the water as the helicopter takes out the bridge, but instead of heading straight to the top, we first hover on the edge of the water to kill one of the giant fish boys with the Tau cannon for the nuclear fission achievement. With another achievement under our belt, we heal up in the tower, and after opening the pipe, we jump down into the water and swim to escape the helicopter before we get completely turned into Swiss cheese. I'm going to gloss over this next hour or so of gameplay, as it's basically just fighting enemies in various different places and dealing with a few platforming sections. We do pick up a rocket launcher of our own finally in this part, which we use to take out a helicopter as revenge for earlier. Once we've moved through this area, we find ourselves in a warehouse that's rigged to blow. I find out the hard way that simply standing back from the door isn't going to cut it, so I think it's time for a super cool stealth montage. That was fun, and I only died times. At the end of this section, we pick up another alien weapon called the Hive Mind. With it, we hit the button, and we're taken back underground. While waiting for the elevator to take us down, the Hive Mind and I, get to know each other. Gross. Then, once at the bottom, we save a guard, which gets us started on working towards the Centripetal Attraction achievement, for killing 20 enemies with the Hive Mind. After a while of moving through and shooting alien bees at people, we get the 20 kills and our achievement. Other than fighting more military and more aliens, where the only thing really worth showing in this bit is me getting thrown like a 3-pointer, we get to an aircraft hangar with a guard who tells me he can help us get to the next area, as he's the only one with the access codes. We also need to stick with this guy for this next short section and remain undetected for the Stealth Tech achievement. After a few tries where I was being spotted at the end, I found running ahead and then crouching down worked better for me, as the guard's crouch speed was absolutely nuts. Clearly his knees are way better than mine after not having to crawl through as many vents. Once we're through, I help protect the guard up until we get to the security booth. Here, he opens up the door for us and we go on through. Well, I do at least. Unfortunately, the guard forgets he's just an NPC and gets savagely beaten off screen for comedic effect. Fly high, brother. Here, we're reunited with Jeff, and he throws a fuel truck at me. He must still be a bit upset about the whole getting turned into soup thing from earlier. So to make up for it, we get into a friendly game of tag. I tag Jeff on the top of the dome with a mortar shell, and also hit this radio tower to make a bridge to progress onwards. A good bit further, we finally reach the elevator that takes us down to the Lambda core. This can be where we meet up with the other scientists to try and put an end to this nightmare. We find a couple scientists along the way, one of which has created a device called the Gluon Gun, which is an energy cannon that I realized was actually one of the best weapons in the game way too late into my playthroughs. There's one achievement tied to this weapon, which is premature expulsion. Ew, for firing an entire mag in a single go. We do love an easy achievement. Once we get to the area with these big cooling baths, we take a plunge and purposefully drown ourselves for the hypersaturation conundrum achievement. While we're here getting the systems powered up, we also unite our last headcrab and barnacle for the unified coupling theorem achievement. Thank fucking God. Now that we have everything powered up, we do a bit of mild platforming and teleporting, which is no trouble now, but doing this twice later while holding a pizza and the top hat is going to be a whole different story. Oh, to be as blissfully ignorant as I was here. After this, we finally meet with the scientists at the other side of the complex. After launching a grenade at poor Granny up there, she gives me a long jump module. Maybe this is her way of telling me to jog on. The long jump module is sick and does exactly what you'd expect. This is a very welcome upgrade and it's going to come in handy in the next section of the game, because it's time to go to Zen. Inside this main portal room, we have to survive floods of aliens, including a new floating type that are annoying as hell, while we wait for the teleporter to power up. We have to be extra patient, however, as the Zen When achievement requires us to wait too long and not jump into the portal. So after doing this, getting obliterated by pure energy, reloading my save and jumping through, we're sent through a wormhole to our new home for the next 6 hours, while also being given a small glimpse of the final boss, which we'll get nicely acquainted with later. After this, we wake up in the alien border world of Zen in the chapter, wait for it, Zen. Bet you didn't see that coming. I'm not going to mention this one because frankly, it's a really boring achievement, but for the achievement Prolific Popper, I need to shoot all 64 of these purple little guys throughout the next 2 upcoming chapters. I need to get every single one with none missed, and some are very hidden, so it's important to keep count and make sure the areas are cleared before moving forwards, because I don't want to attempt this achievement more than once. The first achievement we'll pick up while here is Orbital Trajectory, for making a tricky shortcut jump to skip this starting area. Once I get the achievement, I reload however, because I do not want to be missing any of those purple guys. After a while of platforming through, fighting enemies, and popping purple things, I make it to a little research dome where I can pick up another achievement, following the rules, for using the welcome mat. I thought I actually had to shuffle around on it. Turns out you just have to press E. Lame. Now inside here is something very important for a few upcoming achievements. On this table is another one of those little yellow cyanogen canisters. We need to pick this up and take it with us all the way into the next chapter, as we need to use it to get a couple different endings for an upcoming boss fight. This means we have to physically pick it up and carry it in front of us, placing it down whenever we want to shoot or interact with something, having it catch on edges while falling, losing it, and having to reload saves. This is honestly a good way of getting a taste of what's to come with the pizza and purple hat achievements, as these aren't just getting carried from one chapter to the next, but basically the entire game. Now here, we're going to skip through a pretty big chunk of this next section as nothing particularly notable happens, as it's just a lot of making sure my canister doesn't roll away, fighting aliens, stopping the canister from rolling away, doing some platforming, losing the fucking canister, and puzzles. I won't focus too much on the pains of carrying an item through the game, as I'll save that for the end. Once we cross over this big viney branch looking bit, and do a strange crystal laser machine boot up sequence to open yet another portal, we hop on through with our trusty canister and make it to this area's first big baddie, the Gonarch. After setting down our canister, the first thing we can do is pick up the achievement Gonad Glider for getting launched off the edge of the arena by the Gonarch. Once that's done and we get our achievement, we can fight him for real this time. After a lot of long jumps to dodge the guy, and a few choice missiles to the nutsack, he's sent running with his gonads between his legs, ready for another few run-ins later down the line. A little while later, after carrying this canister for the grand total of 3 hours, I find a teleporter which I can put it on, and send it off to be used later on for some achievements down the line. Once we send off our canister, we have a few sections where we need to run and avoid the Gonarch, whilst also finding 7 members of the missing research teams along the way. Most of these are on the main path and impossible to miss, but there are a few a little further out that I need to make sure I grab. After some sections where we're dodging acid bombs, blowing up new paths to take, discovering research team members, and generally just moving through and avoiding the big guy, we make it to the final chase. Here we have to follow a trail of fire, not get caught up in all the cobwebs while the Gonarch's breathing down our neck, and at this point in the path we can take a sharp left, dip into a secret passage we opened earlier when we teleported the cyanogen canister. Now that we're here in our secret little nook, we have a few options to get some achievements. Firstly, we jump across to the left and discover the final team member to get post-mortem interval. Then, we reload the save and pick up the canister, plug it in, and switch on the machine to kill the Gonarch using the gas for the plan achievement. Next, after another reload, we jump across to the left fully this time and head down a secret path, not using the gas and sparing the Gonarch's life for the achievement Unquestionably Ethical. Now unfortunately for me, I can't just cheese this fight and move on, as I not only need to fight the big guy for real, but I need to deliver the killing blow with my crowbar to get the Doctor's Signature achievement. After a few satchel charge blunders, lots of missiles to the nuts, and glue on gun ammo, we drop through to the lower layer for the final stage of the fight. It does take me a few tries, as I need to get him low enough so he doesn't insta-kill me when I get right up in his business with the crowbar, while also not accidentally outright killing him in the process. After a little while of trying, we get the final hit on him with our crowbar and unlock the Doctor's Signature achievement. After a happy wiggle and a fireworks show from the Gonarch, we drop down and make our way to my least favourite chapter of the game, Interloper. Oh look, he did make it back to bed after all. Now I'd like to know how other people think about this chapter, but for me, it really drags and overstays its welcome. But lucky for you, we have the power of editing. So for now, I'll just give you a basic rundown of what we're doing here, and I'll mostly stick to the achievements in this part of the game. There are 2 ongoing ones in this chapter, the first being not to kill any Vortigons for the PhD in pacifism achievement. This is easy, as unless they're being mind controlled by the brainy boys, they aren't hostile, and in fact can even be friendly and quite helpful at times. Now I feel bad for killing all those ones before. Hey, they were shooting at me first. And the second is to avoid taking any laser damage in the upcoming platforming and puzzle sections for the laser immunization achievement. The most fun part of this chapter in my opinion is the chase at the beginning, where you have to escape a lair that is absolutely packed with Jeffs. So once I'd taken out a controller without killing any Vortigons in the first fight, we get the Antimatter Overmind achievement, and just before leaving we also find a hidden snack supply canister to get contest propellant. If there's no Oreos in here I'm going to be pissed. After this, we move on and head up to start the chase. There is also an achievement tied to this chase, called Black Mesa Decathlon Winner, where we have to escape the lair without taking any damage from Jeff. After a few failed attempts boiling down to me not really knowing where to go, we manage it in the end, running past our first Jeff, jumping down, spamming our long jump, hound eye dodging, bounce pad jumping, and after a couple more close calls with our buddy old pal, we hit a final long jump across to safety. In a harmonious roar, we say a farewell to Jeff for now, as the next time we see him won't be until I'm late for a pizza delivery. With this, we get the Black Mesa Decathlon winner achievement, and we move on to the factory, or whatever the hell this place is. In this section, we have to plug in a bunch of stuff over and over, burst the weird throbbing tank things, and fight controllers. We do this quite a few times, until we get to the next area through one of these air vents, which we see a lot of through here. These are really fun, but they're also a real pain when you're trying not to let go of the prop you're holding for the later achievements, as they get snagged on the sides constantly. Once through, we get to our first section of conveyor belts. This area is honestly fine, we just need to move through, hopping from belt to belt, until we reach some sort of inspection area, where we have a couple sections where we need to do a bit of laser dodging. After mission impossibling my way through the lasers, we make it to this bouncy area, with, you guessed it, more lasers. And fighting enemies, of course. After clearing these 3 areas, we can bounce up and out of this hellhole, straight into another. This elevator section has a few stops where we need to hop off, break some crystals that are keeping the mine controllers alive, kill them, and repeat. After doing this, we finally make it to the top with an area full of random human items, presumably kept for studying and or probing. Once through, we can pop our final purple guys for the prolific popper achievement. Forgot about those ones, didn't you? Good job I didn't. We're also now past all the lasers and vortigons, which secures us the laser immunization and PhD in pacifism achievements. Now that we're all done here, we can head up to the top of this area and hop through a portal to the final boss fight versus Nyland. There it is, the end of the game. We hop across from platform to platform, make our way up towards the final portal, and jump through. We have 4 final achievements to pick up in the endgame for this run. One being to beat the boss in under 4 minutes for the late for work achievement. This can be done easily getting the other fight related achievement, Specimen GG, for destroying all 3 of the boss's healing crystals at once. Standard boss fight procedures apply here. We break through his shield, hit him a bit, place down the 3 satchel charges for the crystals, then once the crystals raise up, we blow them up and get Specimen GG, then hurl more damage at him until his head peels like a meaty banana. Now we can fire our final shot to take him down, earning us the late for work achievement. We get pulled into the green screen world and are left to enjoy the fruits of our labour. Suddenly, however, our well-dressed stalker friend, also known as G-Man, pauses the universe like the absolute godlike being that he is, to have a little chat with us. He tells us he's been watching us closely and is impressed by our work. He's spoken to his higher-ups, and he offers us a job. We kindly accept G-Man's offer, walk through the portal to be put in stasis until the events of Half-Life 2, and are rewarded with the Limitless Potential achievement. After this, we can reload our save, take a seat and wait it out. This is so we can decline his offer and get the 47th and final achievement of this run, rather an anticlimax. He does as promised, and in his words, puts us in
A battle you have no chance of winning.
And with that, the first run is complete, and we can now move on to be an interdimensional pizza delivery boy. Now for these last 3 achievements, since you've already seen most of the game, I'm going to focus on the difficulties of taking these props with us. And in case you're confused as to why it's 3 achievements for 2 props, the hat has 2 achievements. Rare Specimen, for being taken to Zen, and Rarest Specimen, for being taken to the very end of the game. I assume this is because years ago this game was only built up to the Zen teleporter, so I guess the pizza and the other hat achievement were added when the game fully released. The purple top hat is found just after Gordon ruins the fate of the entire world, just over by where we hopped off the world's slowest monorail. The pizza is located about a third of the way into the game, in the chapter Questionable Ethics. It's located in this cafeteria/office area just before we enter the testing lab with all the experiments. I did these achievements in 2 separate playthroughs, as you can only carry 1 prop at a time, and the extra 11 hours I spent carrying the hat separately after I did the pizza was honestly worth it in my eyes, as the pizza may have 6 less chapters to get through, but it's so large, and square, and it catches on every ladder that I climb. One last thing, to save on time and avoid showing you the same game 3 times over, I'm going to cover both the hat and the pizza achievements simultaneously, by showing the hat's journey until we get to Questionable Ethics, where I'll then talk about the notable moments of carrying both props side by side as and when needed. If you're confused, it'll make sense in a minute. With all this said, after we've grabbed our purple buddy and made it a bit through the game, we encounter our first hurdle. After turning a valve to raise the water level, we can access this ladder. Now in the first playthrough, these ladders pose no more difficulty than the usual Source Engine ladder fuckery, but we quickly come to realize that whatever prop we're holding will get stuck on every single rung of the ladder, causing us to drop it. The workaround for this is to either wrench your neck upwards at a 90-degree angle, or to spin your head around 180 degrees like an owl, which I'm sure Gordon doesn't appreciate on top of his already pre-existing knee pain. Alternatively, if the ladder is enclosed, you can hit it with your crowbar or shoot it to propel it upwards. And finally, if you're really lucky, you can simply throw it ahead to avoid carrying it up the ladder entirely. The second strat where we shoot it is very useful. Annoyingly, I only discovered it during the hat playthrough, which I actually did last after already already getting the pizza achievement beforehand. We'll get to that soon. As I mentioned earlier, we'll cover the pizza delivery alongside once it appears in the game's story. After making our way through the opening section, we come to our first elevator. I don't know what possessed me to do this. Maybe it was the fact that I was already 30 hours in, but I tried to CSGO surf my way to the bottom, failing every single time. Did make for a cool intro shot though. Once taking the L, I ride the elevator down like a chump, set my hat down in a safe spot and take out the remaining head crabs. A little later on, we have another ladder to deal with, but this one is easily overcome by chucking our hat ahead to scout for us. Here we find ourselves back at the section where we assembled our science team. This time, however, I leave them to rot and take the shortcut that we merely tickled in our first playthrough. Once we're through, we make our way to the freezers and find ourselves back at the leap of faith, this time around feeling very lonely. Our first jump goes fine. The second ladder to jump to is a bit trickier since we have to squeeze it through this gap between the ladder and the planks, all while drowning out the sound of poor Dr. Watts' face plummeting to his death below. After getting through, we have a nice example of why it's good to leave the hat in a safe place instead of right in the middle of the battlefield. One cool thing is that this time around, I'm able to save the scientist from being killed by the military, and in return, he tells me I smell like shit.
What is that stench?
That's nice of him. After heading up to the first lift to the surface, we dash straight over to the bunker and back down to press onwards. Here, we find ourselves back at the cursed Disney ride. The controls for this train use the same button to pick up the hat, so trying to get the train moving and picking up the hat at the same time can be very finicky, as most of the time the hat just rolls off the back. Once we'd wasted more time than the ride actually takes trying to get myself and the hat onto the train, we hop back off to avoid getting launched into the gloop all over again, and climb up to drop back down into the next area. Now that we're reunited with Technical Tom, we can leave the hat in a nice safe corner, as we know we'll be coming back to tuck him into bed later. There's a few instances in this game where we can do this, as we now have some experience in these levels and know where we'll be returning to. This saves us a bit of headache. Unfortunately, there aren't too many opportunities to do this, so we'll make the most of having our hands free while we can. After a while of running around, turning on the fuel and power, we come back and push the button once again, grabbing onto our hat for some comfort as we now come to terms with the murder that we have now twice committed. After this, it's down the pit, picking up the Magnum and working our way through the platforming jungle that is the Slurm Factory. Shortly after, we're reunited with yet another alien friend, our old pal Jeff. We pop the hat down by the instant suit button and head off to get the train's power back online. Once we yet again perform some delicate mechanical repairs, we head on back to catch our train out of here. After initially forgetting I had to switch the breakers below, we flip them all and then hit the button, picking up our hat, hoping to catch some of the chunks as a snack for later. I would have loved to just walk the track since the hat is so awkward to hold while using the train, but we need the train to activate a few triggers along the way. So after reluctantly juggling the hat and the train car, we receive our message about the rocket and move forward. I will note that the best strategy I found was to leave the hat just up ahead, get the train up to speed, and then grab it as we drive past. Once we make it through a bunch more sections, leaving the hat in a safe place, killing everything, picking it back up and repeating, we find ourselves at the base of the rocket, ready to send it on its way to the launch pad. After doing this, the hat and I head off to the launch pad ourselves to send it off. We say a farewell to the rocket as we permanently burn our retinas and catch our very final train. Once out of the water, we chuck the hat over to this door that opens at the end, kill our little fishy mans, regroup with the hat and move on. We're now at the section with the assassins, so we clear them out and then run over to the room where we politely wait to get bonked on the head again. I'm definitely going to have a concussion after all of this. The military were kind enough to leave my hat waiting for me at the very top of the compactor, so after wiping off the bin juice, we collect our hat and head down the chute. Residue processing has quite a lot of platforming, none of which is any more difficult with the hat, so we breeze past it until we get to the part that's making me nervous to edit, questionable ethics. In the canteen, we find our pepperoni pizza, and from here, we're going to cover both runs simultaneously up until the end of the game. Luckily, the section starts easy, as we can leave the pizza and the hat in this lobby area, as we know we'll be returning back here to fight some military later. So after working through the lab, picking up the Tau cannon and our snarks that we'll never use, we switch off the autodock and move on to the fight. Once clearing the area, we pick up our respective props and head outside to sacrifice poor old Larry boy here. Avenging him and moving onwards, we yet again dodge the fire from the helicopter and dive into the water below. Once back up and out of the water into safety, we heal up and dive back down into the pipe to escape. Once through, we pick up the props and head to our next issue, more ladders. Now here is a perfect example of why I'll choose the hat any day over the pizza, as the pizza is so annoying to fit up any tight ladder. After too many attempts, we make it to the top and quickly encounter another problem, hound eyes. It was a challenge to find a safe spot to leave the props where they wouldn't roll away or get launched by the hound eyes attacks, but after a while we take care of them and we can press on. A little later on, we find ourselves at the bit where we can get our revenge on the helicopter with our fancy new rocket launcher. So after setting down the props, I take down the helicopter. One funny thing that happened in the hat playthrough is that the helicopter got stuck in its crashing animation, causing this chaotic scene. Luckily, it didn't have any collision, so we could just move straight past it and up the ladders to the next area. For the hat, this was absolutely fine. However, as I'm sure you've guessed, for our problem child, the pizza, it was a nightmare. Eventually, I found a good strategy to be holding the pizza on the outside of the cage surrounding the ladder, as this way it didn't get snagged on anything, and I can easily make it to the top. Now this was clearly way too easy, so the next ladder I had to climb gave me one massive issue, the floor at the top. After about 15 grueling minutes of trying and failing, the pizza miraculously popped up on the other side, so I quickly chucked it to safety and hit the quick save button about 58 times just to be safe. For some contrast, this is the exact same ladder but with the hat. Yeah, I think I've actually gone off pizza, you know? After this, we fight our way through for a little while. We get to the explosive warehouse again, and once we parkour our way to the elevator, we get the hive mind. Gordon, for the love of God, please keep your fist to yourself. Once we get to this area, we can leave the hat and the pizza by the security office, as once we sneak through the hangar with our friend here, we return back with him and can continue through. We give Jeff the strongest head pat we can muster, fight through another 1,000 enemies, and here is where I finally realized I could use some good old-fashioned American encouragement to get the props through the tricky bits. Now that we're at the Lambda core, we can pick up the glue and gun, switch some things on, have some more issues with our pizza, and make it to one of, if not the hardest part of the entire game. In this area, we have to jump through teleporters, timing it so that we land on the spinning platforms. We have to use trial and error to figure out which of the 3 teleporters on each level can actually take us upwards. And on top of it all, the real kicker is that the prop and the player go through separately. This means that not only do you have to have perfect timing so that you land right on the leading edge of the spinning platform, but you also then have to quickly find the prop and grab it in time so that it doesn't fall down and cause you to start over. At best, you maybe have a 1-second window to teleport, find, and grab the prop. And that's if you land perfectly, giving yourself the maximum amount of room. This understandably took a while, and admittedly was actually the only part where the pizza was slightly better, mainly because it doesn't roll like the hat does. The platforms move so fast that either prop does still slide, so it still really isn't too much easier. After finally making it to the top and dealing with the hell that was that area, we take our hat and our new blood-soaked pizza into the room with our new science buddies. I'd make a joke about the blood ruining the flavor, but this pizza's already been carried through sewage, dirt, radioactive waste, fire. I'm sure whoever wants to eat this at the end won't mind where it's been, or if it gains any new sources along the way. After picking up our long jump module, we head to the portal room to travel to Zen. Once we hop through, we get our 48th achievement, Rare Specimen, for getting the purple top hat this far. It's nice to get some recognition after the 7 hours it's taken me to get the hats at this point in the game. Nothing new worth showing here happens until we're back at the weird alien control panel, where we leave our hat and our pizza while we get the system powered up and open the portal to the Gonarch's lair. Once we've plugged all the crystals in, we jump on through. It's worth noting here that I've seen some people carry the cyanogen canister as well as the hat or pizza, so that the boss fight can be skipped later on. I chose not to, as if I had to carry one more thing through this game, I think I might have actually had a mental breakdown. After dealing with our first Gonarch encounter, we make our way through the various platforming and chase sections until we get to the main event. The only disadvantage of having to do the boss fight is that the floor gives way halfway through, and there's about a 50% chance that you'll actually find your prop once all the rubble is settled. After dealing with the teleporter section from earlier though, nothing is particularly challenging anymore, as I'm now fully used to babysitting these 2 inanimate objects. That is until the elevator with the hat later anyway. With this done, we make it back to Interloper. With no time to waste, we move through, dealing with the mind controllers, skirting past Jeff one last time, and now comes the air vents. These can be tricky as you basically have to weave the prop through so it doesn't snag and get left behind. But once getting through this section, we're back to plugging stuff in, bursting the tanks, and killing the enemies as we go. Unashamedly skipping through the next 2 hours of gameplay, I make it to another hurdle. One which took me quite a while to figure out how to get past. Maybe I'm just slow. So what happens here is we have to shoot this vent to open it up so it can transport us to the next area. Seems simple enough. The problem is that it pulls us in the instant that we shoot the vent, which means we have no time to pick the prop back up before it sucks us in. And just in case you forgot, Gordon is a very well-trained delivery boy and has to hold onto it with both hands, meaning we can't shoot and hold at the same time. My solution to this problem was probably the most overkill, which was to use the rocket launcher to blow the vent open. In about the second of airtime it took the rocket to reach the vent, I could quickly pick up the prop, ready to be taken to the next area. This is what I refer to as the Hellevator. And no, I'm not talking about the thing you dig in Terraria. I call it this because the hat just would not stop rolling away no matter where I put it, as well as this section being generally quite challenging, even without a prop to worry about. Thankfully, square things don't roll, so our pizza was fine. The box, I mean. I know pizza's around. Once we manage to take out the shields protecting the brainy boys, we kill them, move up, do the same but with even more this time around, kill them again until we reach the top. We make our way to the penultimate teleporter, and once jumping through, we're met with the final portal. After playing through this game 3 separate times, this really is a sight for square eyes. We take our hat and our pizza along the final stretch of their journey, and upon entering the portal, we get our final 2 achievements, Rarest Specimen and Pepperoni Precipitation. All that's left now is to rip Nyland the new asshole, and watch the 2 well-earned secret cutscenes. Oh, so that's why it's called Pepperoni Precipitation. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, and subscribe if you want to see more like this in the future.
Time to choose.